Readers' letters.
Have you ever had an embarrassing experience? Last week we asked readers to tell us about embarrassing experiences. We received hundreds of letters. Here is a selection.
My most embarrassing experience happened when I had just left university. I had just started teaching in a Liverpool secondary school. One morning my alarm clock didn't ring. I had forgotten to wind it up. I woke up at 8:30 and school began at 9. I quickly washed, shaved, dressed, jumped into my car and drove to school. When I arrived, the students had already gone into class. I didn't go to the staff room, but went straight into class. After 2 or 3 minutes, the students began laughing, and I couldn't understand why. Suddenly, I looked down and understood. I had put on one black shoe and one brown shoe. Stanley Hooper, B.A., Preston, Lancashire.
The most embarrassing experience I've ever had happened 2 years ago. My wife and I had driven into town to do some shopping. The streets were very busy and we were holding hands. Suddenly, my wife saw a dress that she liked in a shop window and stopped. I started looking at some radios in the next window. After a minute or two, I reached for my wife's hand. There was a loud scream and a woman slapped my face. I hadn't taken my wife's hand. I'd taken the hand of a complete stranger. Len Bailey, Sheffield, Yorks.
My husband and I had decided to buy a new house, and I'd made an appointment to see our bank manager. I'd never met him before, and I was a bit nervous. I drove into town, and I was lucky enough to find a parking space outside the bank. I'd just started reversing into the space when another car drove into it. I was furious. I opened my window and shouted at the other driver. He ignored me and walked away. It took me 20 minutes to find another space. As soon as I'd parked the car, I rushed back to the bank. I was 10 minutes late for my interview. I went to the manager's office, knocked and walked in. The manager was sitting behind his desk. He was the man who had taken my parking space. Kate Kirby, Portsmouth, Hants.
Why don't you write and tell us about your most embarrassing experience?
A ghost story. Edgar and Catherine are staying in a cottage in the New Forest. It belongs to Edgar's uncle, and they've borrowed it for the weekend. It's Friday night. They arrived an hour or two ago, and they're sitting in front of a log fire.
Oh, Edgar, this house is fantastic. I love old houses.
There's a ghost here, you know.
Edgar, don't be silly. You're trying to frighten me.
Not at all. I've been coming here for years. We used to stay here when I was a child. I saw the ghost myself once.
Edgar, this isn't funny. It's late at night. Anyway, I don't believe in ghosts.
Don't you? I do.
Where did you see the ghost?
Upstairs, in the bedroom.
Ha, ha. Did it have a white sheet over its head?
No, no. It was quite an ordinary ghost, really. He was wearing Victorian clothes.
He? Who?
The ghost, of course. I'll tell you about it. I'd been walking in the forest all day, and I was really tired, so I went to bed early.
Had you had anything to drink?
No, no.
Well, go on. What happened?
I'd been in bed for 2 or 3 hours.
How do you know that it was a few hours?
There's an old grandfather clock in the bedroom. You'll see it when we go upstairs. Anyway, the man was standing beside it.
What man?
The ghost, of course.
What did you do?
Nothing.
What did he say?
Nothing. He just stared at me.
How did he get into the room? Had you locked the door?
Yes, I had, and the window. It was a cold, foggy night.
Was there a fireplace?
Yes, but it was too small for a man to get down. Anyway, there'd been a fire.
What did you do?
I sat up and stared back at him. I was too shocked to move.
What happened? What happened?
Well, I don't know how long we'd been staring at each other, when suddenly I panicked and shouted. And he disappeared.
I don't believe it.
I didn't believe it myself at the time, but when I told some people in the village, they believed me. Some of them had seen the ghost themselves. They could even describe him. If you ask them, they'll tell you.
Edgar, put some more wood on the fire. I'm going to sleep downstairs tonight.
Buying a present.
Have you got Disco King, please?
Who's it by?
Soul Sensation. It's their latest single. It's just entered the charts. It's number 9 this week.
Hold on, I'll just look. Here you are.
Oh, thanks. And have you got the new LP by the Rats?
What? Teenage Revolution? Oh yes, we've got that. It's a fantastic album, you'll love it.
Oh, it's not for me. It's for my grandmother. It's a birthday present.
I'm trying to find a Christmas present for my wife.
Yes, sir. What exactly are you looking for?
I'm not sure, really. Perhaps you can help me.
Right. I'll show you some bracelets.
No, I bought a bracelet for our wedding anniversary.
Maybe a ring, then. These rings are made of gold.
Yes. I like that one. What's the stone?
It's a diamond, sir. And it's only £2,000.
Ah. Well, perhaps you could show me some earrings, then.
Good morning. Perhaps you can advise me.
Yes, madam.
I'm looking for a toy for my nephew.
Oh yes. How old is he?
He'll be 9 years old on Saturday.
Skateboards are still very popular?
I don't want him to hurt himself.
What about a drum set?
I don't think so. His father will be angry if I buy him one of those. Have you got anything educational? You see, he's a very intelligent boy.
I've got the perfect thing. A do-it-yourself computer kit.
Made in England.
I like your radio. Is it new?
Yes, I bought it last week. It's a Bisonic.
By Sonic? I've never heard of it. Where was it made?
I'm not sure. I think it was made in Japan. I'll have a look. No, I'm wrong. It was made in England.
A real bargain. Mr. Palmer is looking for a new house. He's tired of living in the city, and he wants to live in a quiet village. He's with the estate agent now.
Well, Mr. Palmer, this is the semi-detached house that I told you about, number 26 Richmond Road. The owners are away, but I've got a key.
When was it built?
It was built in 1928.
Who built it?
I'm not really sure. Is it important?
No, not really. Is that a new roof? It looks new.
It is nearly new. It was put on last year. You can see that it's in very good condition. The previous owner was a builder.
It's quite an old house. I'm worried about the electrical wiring. Has it been rewired?
Yes, it has.
Oh. When was it done?
5 years ago. Also, it's been redecorated. Central heating has been put in, and a new garage has been built.
Oh, when was that done?
Last year, I think. It's a very solid house. It's built of brick with a tile roof.
It's a long way from a big town. What are the services like?
Hold on, I've got the details here. Oh, yes, let me see. The dustbins are emptied every Thursday.
It's important for me to see the post before I go to work. When is it delivered?
It's usually delivered at about 7:30. The milk is delivered about 6 o'clock, so you'll have fresh milk for breakfast.
It's certainly very cheap. I've seen a lot of similar houses, and they're more expensive.
Oh, yes. It's a real bargain.
Are there any plans for the area?
Pardon? Plans? Well, a new school is going to be built in the village next year.
Anything else?
And a new road, motorway actually, will be built next year too. You'll be able to get to London easily.
Where exactly will the motorway be built?
Well,
Actually, it'll be built behind the house. A bridge will be constructed over the house. It will be very interesting. You'll be able to watch the traffic.
The 8 o'clock news.
Good evening, and here is the 8 o'clock news. Robert Gibbs, the great plane robber, has been caught in Montina. He was arrested in a Vanadello nightclub. He is being questioned at police headquarters, and he will probably be sent back to Britain. 2 British detectives left Heathrow earlier this evening, and they will help the police in Vanadello with their inquiries. In 1978, Gibbs was sentenced to 40 years in prison for his part in the great plane robbery. He escaped from Parkwood Maximum Security Prison in April. Since then, he has been seen in 10 different countries. The strike at Fernside Engineering in Birmingham has ended after talks between trade union leaders and management representatives. The strike began last weekend after a worker had been sacked. He had had an argument with a supervisor. 5,000 men went on strike. The worker has now been re-employed. Vic Bostic, the lead guitarist of the Rats pop group, is dead. He was found unconscious in his Mayfair flat early this morning. Bostic was rushed to St. Swithin's Hospital, but doctors were unable to save his life. A number of bottles which had been found in his flat were taken away by the police. There is no more news about the famous Lanstable painting Norfolk Sunset, which was stolen last night from the National Gallery. The painting, which is worth £500,000, was given to the gallery in 1975. It hasn't been found yet, and all airports and ports are being watched. Cars and trucks are being searched. A reward of £10,000 has been offered for information. Jumbo, the Indian elephant which escaped from London Zoo this afternoon, has been caught. Jumbo was chased across Regent's Park and was finally captured at a hot dog stall in Regent's Park Road. A tranquilizer gun was used, and Jumbo was loaded onto a truck and was taken back to the zoo. At the zoo, he was examined by the zoo veterinary surgeon. Fortunately, no damage had been done, and Jumbo will be returned to the Elephant House later tonight. Jimmy McTavish, the Eastfield United and Scotland striker, has been transferred. The contract was signed at lunchtime. He was transferred to the American club, Miami Galaxy, for $3 million. McTavish, aged 23, was bought 2 years ago for a fee of £2,000 from a Scottish non-league club.
Elvis Presley, story of a superstar. When Elvis Presley died on the 16th of August 1977, radio and television programs all over the world were interrupted to give the news of his death. President Carter was asked to declare a day of national mourning. Carter said, "Elvis Presley changed the face of American popular culture. He was unique and irreplaceable." 80,000 people attended his funeral. The streets were jammed with cars, and Elvis Presley films were shown on television, and his records were played on the radio all day. In the year after his death, 100 million Presley LPs were sold. Elvis Presley was born on January the 8th, 1935, in Tupelo, Mississippi. His twin brother, Jesse Garon, died at birth. His parents were very poor, and Elvis never had music lessons. But he was surrounded by music from an early age. His parents were very religious, and Elvis regularly sang at church services. In 1948, when he was 13, his family moved to Memphis, Tennessee. He left school in 1953 and got a job as a truck driver. In the summer of 1953, Elvis paid $4 and recorded 2 songs for his mother's birthday at Sam Phillips' Sun Record Studio. Sam Phillips heard Elvis and asked him to record "That's All Right" in July 1954. 20,000 copies were sold, mainly in and around Memphis. He made 5 more records for Sun, and in July 1955 he met Colonel Tom Parker, who became his manager in November. Parker sold Elvis's contract to RCA Records. Sun Records got $35,000, and Elvis got $5,000. With the money, he bought a pink Cadillac for his mother. On January the 10th, 1956, Elvis recorded Heartbreak Hotel, and 1 million copies were sold. In the next 14 months, he made another 14 records, and they were all big hits. In 1956, he also made his first film in Hollywood. In March 1958, Elvis had to join the army. He wanted to be an ordinary soldier. When his hair was cut, thousands of women cried. He spent the next 2 years in Germany, where he met Priscilla Bewley, who became his wife 8 years later on May the 1st, 1967. In 1960, he left the army and went to Hollywood, where he made several films during the next few years. By 1968, many people had become tired of Elvis. He hadn't performed live since 1960, but he recorded a new LP, From Elvis in Memphis, and appeared in a special television program. He became popular again and went to Las Vegas, where he was paid $750,000 for 4 weeks. In 1972, his wife left him, and they were divorced in October 1973. He died from a heart attack. He'd been working too hard and eating and drinking too much for several years. He left all his money to his only daughter, Lisa Marie Presley. She became one of the richest people in the world when she was only 9 years old.
If I had enough money.
I've got £3,500. I'm going to look at the car. If I like it, I'll buy it.
That's a nice car. But I haven't got enough money. If I had enough money, I'd buy it.
I've worked for an oil company for 10 years. I'm a Bachelor of Science in Engineering. I've got the qualifications. I'm going to apply for the job. If they offer me the job, I'll certainly take it.
I like that job, but I can't apply for it. I haven't got the qualifications. If I had the qualifications, I'd apply for it.
I'm a mechanic, and I know a lot about cars. I've got a clean driving license and enough money. If they ask me, I'll go with them.
I've got £1,000 and a driving license. I know very little about cars. If I knew something about cars, I'd go with them.
I can speak French and German. I'll apply for the job. If I get it, I'll have to move to Switzerland.
I can speak French, but I can't speak German. If I could speak German, I would apply for the job.
I'm 19 and I'm interested in the job. I'll get more information if I phone them, and if the salary's good, I'll apply.
I'm interested in the job, but I'm too old. If I were younger, I'd apply.
In a restaurant.
Good evening, sir. Madam, shall I take your coats?
Thank you. Where shall we sit, Barbara?
Oh, would you like to sit over here, sir, near the window?
Ah, yes. Could we see the menu?
Certainly. Here it is.
Do you fancy a starter?
I think I'll have the prawn cocktail. I'm very fond of prawns. What about you?
I'm not sure. I can't decide.
Oh, I'd have the trout if I were you. You always say that you like trout, and you haven't had it for a long time.
Are you ready to order yet, sir?
Yes. A prawn cocktail for my wife and the trout for me.
And the main course, sir?
Veal for my wife. I can't decide between the veal and the chicken. What do you recommend?
Oh, if I were you, I'd have the veal. It's the speciality of the house. What would you like with the veal?
2 mixed salads, please.
Any vegetables, sir?
Yes, some cauliflower, some courgette, and some boiled potatoes, please.
Anything to follow?
Can we order that later?
Oh, of course, sir. Would you like to see the wine list?
Yes. We'd like a bottle of dry white wine.
May I suggest something?
Of course.
Why don't you try a bottle of English wine?
English wine?
Yes, it isn't very well known, but it's being produced in the south of England now. You'll be surprised. It's very good.